Is the idea to establish free cities or to support people who want to? How does it work?
So the foundation itself, we make the moral case that a world where there's a plethora of different kinds of society, where people consent to the rules and people have the ability to choose what kind of system they live under, is a better society for everyone.
Okay.
That's what we make the case for. And we run a conference, we put out social media posts that spread the message about this. We create resources for people that want to learn more. And then we also work closely with commercial partners. There's a commercial partner called Tipolis, which invests actively in projects like the Zones for Employment and Economic Development in Honduras. There's a couple of active projects there. We've got a new project in the pipeline in West Africa that we're hoping to be able to announce at our conference in October. So there is an element of working with investors that are actually actively building Free Cities Aligned projects. But then we also just create general resources for people that want to take this forward themselves to go and do so.
There's a free city in India as well, isn't there? That's one I'm aware of.
There's various areas of India that have a high degree of autonomy, but
there's a particular free city. Danny, can you try and look it up? I'll know if you find it. There's a particular one because when I was at... That's it.
What was the name?
Auroville.
Okay.
Do you know of Auroville?
It rings a bell, but we don't have any relationships over there with Auroville or with many with India. To be honest, it's an area we like to work.
Yeah, because when I was in India, I met somebody who was like they were heading there and they were explaining it to it. That was like one of my first exposures to these cities. And I was reading about it all on like Wikipedia, and anyone can go along and visit it and stay there. Apparently,
right?
Can you find it?
Yeah. No, pull it up.
Yeah, they had a whole bunch of weird different rules around it. But it's like a village community that all works together. I don't know what they do for money. But here we go. Auroville belongs to nobody in particular, belongs to humanity as a whole. But to live in Auroville, you must be a willing servitor of the divine consciousness. Oh God. Auroville will be the place of unending education and constant progress and a youth that never ages. Okay, sounds pretty hippie.
Yeah.
That sounds like a commune.
Do we have an idea of the size of it? Okay, 2,800 people.
That's small, yeah? That's a community.
So we work with various kinds of projects ranging from fully autonomous zones within nation states to intentional communities. And there are tens of thousands of intentional communities across the world.
Okay.
And this would be like definitely on the larger side of the intentional communities end, but there are lots of different rationales for people coming together to establish a common set of rules, and they have lots of different political philosophies. We tend to work more with those that have a more libertarian focus, but there are quite a few projects out there that you could name that want to be established with their own unique set of rules.
Okay, give me an example of one of the projects you're working on at the moment, and then that's probably would it be easier for me to then start pinging the questions that I have.
Yeah, so our founder, Titus, and the commercial organization Tipolis have an active investment in a project in Honduras called Próspera. This project has got about 150 acres of land.
Is it on an island?
It's on the island of Roatan, which is off to the north of
We know of this,
Honduras.
don't we?
Yeah. And what they're doing is exercising a degree of autonomy that they've been granted by the Honduran government to do interesting things with property rights. So, for example, establishing 3D property rights rather than 2D property rights.
What does that mean?
That means that if you have a house, you can decide that you're going to buy some of the land in the air, some of the space in the air above someone else's house. And what that means is that with problems like, so if you're in a densely populated area and someone comes and builds a very large skyscraper next to your house and blocks out all the light, then this is going to reduce your standard of living because you don't have access to natural light. So the way they try and get around that is by establishing 3D property rights in the air. So this is just one example of like an innovative governance thing that they're introducing, but they're also introducing, people using Bitcoin within the companies over there. They have like looser kind of regulations around the business activity there. So it's quite a free business environment. They have lots of very innovative ways in which they're doing the building. So they're creating modular buildings in the area, which in normal planning permission circumstances wouldn't be possible because you have to kind of create a finished product. And so they're experimenting with lots of different governance innovations when it comes to land regulation, business regulation, currency, and then property rights regulation.
Okay, so how much autonomy are they given by Honduras? Do they have a local owned government?
So it's probably the highest degree of autonomy that any area within a nation state has been granted. So they get autonomy to over some of their commercial law, but not the criminal law.
Yeah.
And there is an entity like a private operating company that manages all of the services that are deemed to be that would normally be provided by a local government. So there's a high degree of autonomy there. They can set their own, they can decide that their legal system is going to be arbitrated by a third-party court, so a court that's in another country if they want to. They can have their own court independently that's set up.
For civil crime or for civil litigation or for even criminal?
For civil litigation. So criminal is still done through Honduras, but this is to do with mainly business regulations for companies that come and set up there. Mm-hmm. They can decide that they're going to, for example, if there are two Swiss companies that come and set up in this area, they can decide that they're going to sign a contract and have a Swiss judge arbitrate any disputes between them.
Okay.
So this kind of thing is, there's a high degree of autonomy that's been granted to these areas within Honduras. Próspera is one. There is another one.
Sorry, let's just stick with that one. So, sorry, because it's interesting. So who provides the policing?
So that's provided by the operating company.
Okay.
They hire a private company, like a private security force, then they police the area.
And then do they provide it for the whole of the area and people pay a tax, or is it an opt-in?
So you pay a fee to be part of the community.
Okay.
And it's the same in Morazan, which is another area. So you pay a fee to be part of the community. It's quite a low fee. And then there are additional fees that are paid by the companies. So
like a council tax, basically. You pay a fee and you get your services.
Yeah, so similar to a council tax. It's written within a contract what it's going to be. So when you sign up, you know what the fee is going to be for a period of time afterwards. And then there are also some other sources of revenue that are drawn from the companies. So there's also an income tax for the companies, for example.
This is it.
That's it. Yeah,
it's beautiful. We should.
It's a beautiful place. You should go.
You've been?
Yes, I have. Went in last.
Is this
November.
real or is this like an artist interpretation?
This is Pristine Bay, I believe. I can't quite see with the light. This is the main area where they have the offices in Próspera.
Just for people listening, we're looking at photos of this. This is on bitcoinmagazine.com, so we'll put it in the show notes. It's a beautiful island.
Yeah, this
like
might be part of the Pristine Bay development.
Is that a golf tee?
Yeah, they've recently purchased a golf course to incorporate into the area.
Okay, so you pay a fee. Do you know what the fee is?
So if you want to become an e-resident of Próspera, I believe it's about $500 a year. Someone that's like a remote resident.
Okay.
And it's about $500 a year. You don't necessarily need to be based within the zone. You can have access to the services. You can have access to the legal arbitration. But they have about 300, I think, people that are currently e-residents.
So I could just e-register and come and stay.
Yes.
And what is it like? Is there a hotel I can book there if I want to go and visit?
There are, yeah. There are. So not actually within Próspera itself. So Próspera itself is currently reasonably small. We're talking like a few dozen people living and working within the area. As the same for the other projects that are over there.
But what could it grow to?
Tens of thousands of people
in Próspera.
Well, the thing to bear in mind about it is that it's not Próspera itself is not just a specific piece of land. It's kind of a platform through which any area of land can join and grow. So it was initially a 58-acre development, and then they incorporated this Pristine Bay development, which is about another 70 to 80 acres.
All on the island.
And these are on the island, but Próspera as an entity is managing these individual areas through a common set of rules that they have. And you don't have to have contiguous land. The land can be based in any part of Honduras or even any other country. As
long as, they'll come back to that. So as long as the government approves it?
So what Próspera have done is they've created a governance platform. And if any area of any country decides they agree that part of the land can be part of Próspera, that can happen. That's their long-term ambition. So what they've already done is increase the size to this 150-acre slot. But they could also do that if there were other areas of land that could be incorporated. They could also expand to incorporate that.
But what? So, if say I owned a bunch of land in Honduras and I wanted to become part of it, what is the incentive for me to do that? What do I get from being part of Próspera that I don't? What do I get new?
So you get a different kind of regulatory environment.
Okay.
So one of the challenges that Honduras faces is that a lot of businesses that would otherwise invest there won't invest there because they're not confident in the legal system, or they're not confident in the security situation. Honduras has got one of the highest crime rates in the world. So if you have a situation where maybe there are issues with the local police and you're not happy with that, or there are issues with the courts and you have a business dispute and you're not happy with it going to a normal court, then this offers the ability to have disputes arbitrated by a different set of rules and different system.